Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this Dark Souls walkthrough. Let's begin. So first up, we must create our character. My name is Blackmongoose. I am a male. Classes, right. So the classes of Dark Souls. Warrior, standard melee build, pretty simple. A knight, basically a warrior but just a bit heavier. And also a bit more tanky. A wanderer, kind of like a warrior but lighter, wields a scimitar as opposed to a simple longsword. A thief, which is kind of like a wanderer but a bit lighter and wields a dagger as opposed to a scimitar. A bandit, kind of like a warrior but wields a axe and is not too much different to a warrior. A hunter, again, pretty simple to like a wanderer or whatnot, but also has a bow. A sorcerer wields a dagger and light clothing and can use spells from the start. All classes can use spells, all classes can be built however you want, but basically your class determines how you start the game. So Pyromancer, pretty simple, uses an axe and starts with some pyromancy. Cleric, pretty simple, just uses a club and starts with some miracles. And a Deprived, starts with nothing and all the stats are the same, so you can build the Deprived however you want. For the sake of this guide, I'm going to be going with a simple melee build, so I am going with the Warrior. Now gifts, so you can go with None, I don't recommend it. You can go with Goddess's Blessing, fully restores HP and cures status effects, pretty useful. Black Fire Bombs, these are thrown items that will inflict good fire damage, quite handy, especially against some tough enemies. Twin Humanities, now this will fully restore HP and give you 2 humanity, I will explain that later in the guide, but overall this is not very important. Binoculars, lets you look into the distance and aim spells, aside from that, not too useful, and besides, you get some in the starting area anyway, so don't recommend it. Pendant, not too useful, I don't know if this even has a use, so I will not be picking this. Master Key, probably the most useful of all the gifts. This will allow you to open basic locks, and as a result can enter a lot of areas sooner than you would be able to normally. I am not going to use this in this guide because it feels a little cheaty if you ask me, but it is probably the most useful of the bunch. Tiny Being's Ring, a simple ring that will slowly restore HP, quite handy. And finally the Old Witch's Ring, the most interesting of the bunch, and has a quite unique use, and I will of course be picking this one, because I want to show you that unique use later in the walkthrough. Physique, I will be going with Slim. Face, I will be going with the Eerie Great Swamp. The other faces are kind of weird looking, but the Eerie Great Swamp is the best. Hair, we will be going with a nice wild. And colour, we will be going with the red. And there we go. There is my guy. So, let us begin.
In the age of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire, and with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. Then from the dark they came and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead, the Witch of Izalith and her Daughters of Chaos. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and his faithful knights. And the furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons. Gwyn's mighty lords peeled apart their stone skins. The witches weaved great firestorms. Nito unleashed a miasma of death and disease. And Seath the Scaleless betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more. Thus began the Age of Fire. But soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain. Even now, there are only embers. And man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark side. Yes, indeed. The dark sign brands the undead. And in this land, the undead are corralled and led to the north. Where they are locked away to await the end of the world. This is your fate.
And with that, we are here in the Dark Souls world. We have the key. Let's get out of here. So of course, you move with the left stick and control the camera with the right. These fellows did not have a key like I do. Too bad for them. Right stick camera controls, indeed. Right bumper to attack. The messages are all in Xbox controls, unfortunately. I do not have the Dark Souls remastered. Sorry about that, but it is not too much different. Don't worry. Yeah. Here we go. And in here, the Stray Demon. That is this guy's name. We will not encounter him until much later in the game, so wait for that. If we encountered him now, we'd end up like this guy. Kinda screwed. Right trigger for strong attack, indeed. This is a bit slower than a regular attack, but it does more damage. If we can hit. Oh, and that what I just did is a lock on. If you press right stick, you will lock onto the enemy. Pretty handy, pretty important. And left stick and hold B to dash, aka to sprint. Again, pretty handy. There we go, right stick, lock on and release. Very handy. Yeah. We don't have a weapon currently. All we have is this little hilt. We require a weapon. I require a sword. Where is my sword? Get up this ladder. Out here. Rest at bonfire to recover HP. Indeed. These are your checkpoints. These will restore HP. They are very, very important. Do not neglect bonfires. And up here, we will make our way out. Open these big old heavy doors. And that is the way out. Ah, lovely. What does this say? Get away? Oh! Okay. So, this is the first boss. The Asylum Demon. He blocks the way to the exit. So, we will just defeat him. Only our weapon is doing no damage, because all we have is a little hilt. We need our sword. You can roll with, ouch! You can roll with B or circle if you're using a PS4 controller. I think it's space for keyboard, but you can find that out yourself. So yeah, roll out the attacks and you can avoid them. But we can't face this guy yet, so I must simply just get out of here. This door is open, let's head in here. You can fight that guy at that stage, but I don't recommend it. It will take like 10 years and you won't really get anything out of it. You do get something out of it though, and what you get out of it is his weapon. Yes, if you kill him at this stage, you get his weapon, the Demon's Great Hammer. And it's pretty cool, but it requires an awful lot of strength to use, so you won't be able to use it for most of the game anyway, so yeah, not really worth it. If you pick the black fire bombs as your starting equipment though, then you might be able to kill him at that stage, but again, don't really recommend it. Okay, get this bonfire, see if that restored our HP, and over here, get your shield, indeed. And there's an archer. Start to open the menu and click the arms icon to change your equipment. And we have our shield. The most important piece of equipment is your shield. If you must make a choice between a sword or a shield, take the sword. Because you can go through this game without shields, but you can't get through it without weapons. It's impossible. Okay, and this is the equipment screen. We will equip our shield in our offhand. And there we go, we have our shield. It is left bumper to block and left trigger to do a parry. This relies on timing, and if you time it correctly, you can parry and then riposte. But that is quite difficult to do, and usually something only the more experienced players do. But it can be very effective. So now we can block this guy's arrows nice and easy. Get our sword. Equip our sword, and now we are ready to attack. Be wary of tough enemy. That is not a tutorial message, that is left by a player. So that is not relevant to us right now. There we go, now we're doing a lot more damage. Traverse into the white light. White lights will usually indicate boss fights, but sometimes they just indicate a new area. And here, there's the guy that saved us. But how do we get to him? We'll have to find a way around. Press B for backstep, and left stick and B for a roll, indeed. There are 3 kinds of rolls in this game. There is a fast roll, which is this. There we go, nice and fast. And there is what we were doing before, which is a mid-roll. Mid-rolls are not quite as useful as fast rolls for dodging, but they are still mostly useful. And there's a third type of roll called a fat roll, which is when you are really overweight. I will explain the weight later. But basically, weapons and armour in this game have weight, and the heavier you are, the slower you will move and the slower your rolls will be. So yeah, usually most builds will stay quite light, so they can be fast, but you can also play mid. I don't recommend playing heavy unless you're playing a heavy build, but again, all stuff that I will explain properly later. Now this wall looks a little bit rough, doesn't it? Can't break it though. What is down here? Down here is a door. And this leads us back to the bonfire from earlier. Very cool level design. Level design is like that a lot in Dark Souls. Lots of looping around, lots of linking back into itself, and a very large interconnected world. It's pretty cool. And up here, oh god. But it opened the wall. Excellent. But I want to get revenge first. You. Yeah. Now you saw a little light coming up when I was hitting him there. That is the sign of a counter attack. It happens when you hit an enemy when they are in the middle of a attack animation, basically. And it means your attacks will do a bit more damage. It's quite handy. And also when enemies die, you can play around with their bodies. It's a lot of fun. Now in here, it is him. My fellow knight.
Oh, you. You're no hollow. Thank goodness. I'm done for, I'm afraid. I'll die soon, then lose my sanity. I wish to ask something of you. You and I are both undead. Hear me out, will you?
Yes, indeed.
Regrettably, I have failed in my mission. But perhaps you can keep the torch lit. There is an old saying in my family. Thou who art undead art chosen. And thine exodus from the Undead Asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know. Well, now you know. And I can die with hope in my heart. Oh, one more thing. Here, take this. An Estus flask. An undead favorite. Oh, and this. Now I must bid farewell. I would hate to harm you after death. So go now, and thank you.
So, this guy is called Oscar of Astora. He's a fellow knight, and why he freed us, I don't really know. It's kind of a mystery. But he won't be around much longer, unfortunately. Rest in peace, my friend. And what he gave us is a Estus flask. This is your healing item. It will refresh at bonfires. It is extremely, extremely important to the game. And that sound you just heard was him passing away. Farewell, Oscar. Thank you for freeing us. We will not let you down. And with the key we can open this door. Press Y or triangle to wield your weapon two-handed. This will change your stance, so your attacks will become different, and also your attacks will do a bit more damage, and also it will make you stronger, which is quite handy. So it means you can carry slightly heavier equipment. Left stick and RB for a kick. Ooh. There we go, that will break guard, which is quite handy. And left stick and right trigger for a jump attack, which is that. So enemies in this game can actually parry just like you can, but the jump attack is pretty much the only attack that cannot be parried. So it's pretty handy. Resting at bonfires revives enemies, indeed. This game ain't like some sort of simple affair where killing an enemy is that it. Like every time you die, the enemies respawn, and every time you rest at a bonfire, they respawn again. So don't die. Block this guy, or just dodge him. Right bumper while falling for a plunging attack. Indeed, I will demonstrate that very soon. Right bumper while behind an enemy for a critical hit, or a backstab, if you will. Very handy, very, very good. And left trigger for a parry, repel an enemy attack. And after parrying, right bumper for a riposte. Indeed, I will demonstrate that right now. Yeah. There you go. That is a riposte. Very, very, very powerful. Quite hard to pull off, but very powerful. Very good to learn. It's locked. We will have to enter later. We must find a key. And no, the master's key will not open that door. Don't think you're being clever. And in here, another white light. And a boss. Yeah. Oh shit. I missed him. You're supposed to fall onto his head and hit him, but I kind of missed him. I think in order to do that you have to roll off that, otherwise it just doesn't seem to reach for some reason. Right, time for the first real boss fight. So, to dodge attacks in this game you have to usually roll into the swing. It seems a little bit counterintuitive, but it's the best way to avoid attacks, as demonstrated. And also you have to time it correctly. If you dodge too early, you might get hit by it, and if you dodge too late, well, you will obviously get hit by it. So learn the timing and it should be all fine. Now, bosses in this game are not all about dodging. Sometimes you can abuse their size as well. So like if I stand behind this guy, it's quite easy to avoid his attacks. Well, he says as he gets hit. But some bosses in this game you can abuse their size quite easily. So it's up to you as to which approach you take. I prefer the head-on approach, because it's more manly. And I'm doing a pretty poor job. Oh, that attack's quite hard to avoid. Now, ouch. I apologise for my bad play. I haven't played Dark Souls 1 in a while. Now, most bosses in this game, you can block them, but it's not really advised to do so. So I recommend going two-handed against most bosses, because you'll do more damage that way, and also it's just, the shield is just kind of useless. So don't use that against bosses. That's more useful against the regular enemies. And he is down. First boss defeated. Very, very easy. And we get the Big Pilgrim's Key. And a humanity. And with that, we can open this door. Now, you may have noticed the number on the bottom right. These are your souls. These are the currency of the game. You use them to buy equipment, to upgrade equipment, and to level up, because leveling up requires currency in this game. So, yes indeed. Souls, very, very important. And every time you die, you will drop all of your souls. You can get them back, but if you die a second time, they will disappear forever. So, try not to lose them. But who am I kidding? You are going to lose them over and over and over again. So be prepared for that. Good job, go straight ahead. Indeed. Prisoner ahead. That's a player message, by the way, and I don't know what the hell it's referring to. Now over here. Here. An item. Soul of a Lost Undead. That is a currency item. It will give you some souls. Very, very handy. There are many, many secrets in this game, so be sure to look around, because you will find them all over the place. Speaking of secrets, over here, a very interesting character. Who is not talking. Okay. I will come back here later, and hopefully then they will actually start talking. But this character is called Snuggly the Crow, and they are kind of interesting. But again, they're not talking right now, so I guess I'll have to talk to them later. You can reload the game now and talk to them, but I don't want to do that. I can't really do much with them anyway, so yeah, we'll talk to them later. Anyway, let us leave. Good luck. You're gonna need it.
Only in the ancient legends it is stated that one day an undead shall be chosen. to leave the Undead Asylum in pilgrimage to the land of the ancient lords. Lordran.